Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Feliz Navidad to all of you that are celebrating tonight. Why don't we go ahead and stand up and rise? And let's join together and sing some Christmas songs in a spirit of unity. Here we go.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing.
All right, let me hear you guys sing along too with us.
Joy to the earth, the Savior reigns. Let men their songs employ. nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing.
Newsong, we want to say welcome and thank you for joining us for our Christmas Eve service. In light of why we showed up today, we're going to read Matthew chapter 1, verses 22 and 23. All of this occurred to fulfill the Lord's message through his prophet. Look, the virgin will conceive a child. She shall give birth to a son, and they shall call him Emmanuel, which means God is with us. Oh, come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel that mourns in lowly exile here, until the Son of God appears. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. So come, oh come, Emmanuel, and ransom a captive Israel that mourns in lowly exile here, until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. Said rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. Oh, rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. Shall come to thee, O Israel.
Hello, Merry Christmas, Newsong. Can we turn to our neighbors and if you feel comfortable with a little bit of an elbow rub or a distant hello, a wave, use your eyebrows if you have them, just to say, man, we're so glad that you guys are here this evening joining us for a Christmas Eve Candlelight service. Yeah, say hello, wave to them. Man, we're so glad that we can gather in this space. Thank you for everyone who drove out today all the way here. My name is Abe Park. I am the family life pastor here. I'm just so grateful that we can spend time as a family together. I know the kids are in the room. We have a special thing for them in just a little bit. We're so grateful we can gather. I think it's a miracle that we're all here right now. I don't know if you guys been to any of the parking lots here in Orange County. It's kind of crazy. I don't know. Parking lots are few. All these people, I didn't know they lived in Orange County. Everybody's out shopping for something, trying to go to the restaurants, to the mall. It reminds me of something that my youth pastor said to me many years ago. And when he said it, it was so cheesy, but I still remember it. So I think it was worthwhile mentioning. He would say this. He goes, in this Christmas season, he would say, don't have a Martha Christmas. Have a Merry Christmas. And then everybody in the room would groan. Everybody in the room would groan because it was so cheesy. And he would say it every year, and we knew it was coming. Like, we knew it was coming. But now that I'm older, that's all I think about. That's all I think about. I struggle. I struggle with being present. Right? We have so many things to do. Emails to send out, gifts to buy, things that we need to take care of in this season for whatever reason. All good reasons, I think. And yet, the very thing that we're supposed to be about in this season, as we sang, Emmanuel, God with us, that's his name, that's his nature. He invites us into his presence. And we struggle with that. And in this Christmas season, it's not just presents and delicious food. For some of us, it's a difficult time. It's a difficult time. There's an empty seat at the table. There's difficult things. There's depression, anxiety. These are all real. And in this season, Emmanuel, God with us, he chooses to be with us in whatever mode or thing that you're going through. He's not with us because we were the perfect dad or the perfect mom. He's not with us because we accomplished everything on our list. He's with us because we're his. And that's what we remember today as we gather in this space. I just want to let you know, this coming Sunday, we only have one service. It is the 11 a.m. service, a family service. It'll be in here. If you can't make it, be present with your family. If you can't be here, be present in your bed. Be present with the family that you have. Today, we have Becca Gibbons, who's going to be reading to our children. She's going to come up in a little bit. But I want to welcome up the kids as well. If you feel comfortable, please keep your masks on, and we'll come up to the stage, and Miss Becca will be reading a story for us. So Becca, can you come up? And kids, can you come up? She's going to read the Christmas story to us. This is a tradition that we have here. If you feel comfortable, come up here. We're going to keep our masks on. Come up to the stage. Have a seat right here. And we're going to listen as Miss Becca reads us the story. If you don't feel comfortable coming up, stay where you are. That's totally fine. But if you feel comfortable, come up to the stage, and Miss Becca will be reading the story to us.
Can you all hear me? Am I on? Okay. There we go. Okay, tonight we get to talk about Christmas, the first Christmas, and all the things that make Christmas Christmas. Now, Christmas, as we know it today, was such a huge event that people started taking that day or that moment in time and counting. They used that moment in time to start counting the years. So, let's see, what year is this year for all the big kids? What year is it? 2021. Yes, it is. So, when Christmas happened, people not long after started counting year 1 after Christmas, year 2. So if this is the year 2021, how many years has it been since the first Christmas? 2021 years, pretty much. That's a long time ago, but it really happened 2,000 years ago. And it was a night like tonight, dark, lots of stars out, and for the first time, there was a huge star that nobody had seen before. And even people in other countries could see that star. It was so huge. So we're going to be talking about this story. We'll actually read the passage in the Bible that talks about everything that happened. Now, long before Jesus came as a baby, God promised his people that he was going to send someone. He told everybody ahead of time. And this was years and years, hundreds and hundreds of years before Jesus even came. God said, he's coming. He's very special. He's coming. He's going to save all of you. Be ready. And so people were looking for him, and they were ready. Some people were ready when he came. They waited 300 years, 400 years, and finally, it happens. The story happens. Thanks. In those days, the Roman emperor, who's like a king, Caesar Augustus, ordered a counting of all the people in his empire. Everyone had to travel back to the birthplace of his ancestors and be counted. It was a census for everyone. So Joseph left his town of Nazareth in Galilee and traveled up to the town of Bethlehem in Judah. That was King David's town, because he was a descendant of David, so he had to go back to his hometown. He went there with his promised wife, Mary. He was about to give birth to a baby. While they were there in Bethlehem, the time came for her to have a baby. She had her first child, a baby boy. She wrapped him up in swaddling cloths, laid him down in a manger near the animals, because there was no room in the inn. That same night nearby, there were shepherds out in the fields nearby, guarding their flocks of sheep. With no warning, suddenly a powerful and bright angel stood right in front of them. They were surrounded by his bright light. They were terrified. The angel said, "Don't be afraid. I have wonderful and important news that will bring so much joy to everyone in the entire world. Today, a Savior, yes, the one promised for you, the one you've been waiting for, he was born tonight in the city of David. You'll find him by looking for this sign. You'll find the baby wrapped up in a swaddling cloth and lying in a manger." Suddenly, the angel was joined with a vast army of angels that filled the entire sky, and they were all singing, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace and goodwill in everyone." Wow, after this singing, the angels just disappeared. They disappeared up into the sky, and the shepherds started talking among themselves excitedly and said, "We have to go to Bethlehem. We have to see this wonderful thing that has happened, which the Lord actually just told us about." They hurried to that village. Everything was just like the angel said. They found Mary, they found Joseph with her, and they found the swaddled baby lying in the manger just like the angel said. As soon as they found him, they began talking excitedly to everyone around them about that angel and what he had said, and about the baby. Everyone reacted in shock and amazement. But Mary was quiet. She listened, put their words in her heart, thinking about them over and over again. And then the shepherds finally left. They went back to their flocks that were still out there in the hills. They were filled with joy, praising God for all the amazing things they had just heard and seen that night. It all happened just like the angel said. And that's the real Christmas story. Okay, we can go back to our seats.
was actually a cry that was supposed to come out in the sound, but you didn't hear the baby crying. The baby was born. Just in case you're wondering. When I saw that clip and then I was reading over the Christmas story again, there's a lot of things to think about, and you've heard all the different Christmas stories before. And I'm not here to reiterate something you already know, but maybe to remind us of the human aspect of Christ's entry into the world 2,000 years ago. We know it's a historical fact, whatever religion you're from, that Jesus was alive. And whether you're a Muslim or a Buddhist or an agnostic or an atheist, there's a belief that he was a unique man and that he was someone sacred. Some would even say a prophet. And then we would believe that he was actually the Son of God. His entry into the world was communicated through John, one of his closest peers. And he writes this in John chapter 1, verses 10 through 14. It says, "He came into the world he created, but the world didn't recognize him. He came to his own people, and even they rejected him. But to all who believed him and accepted him, he gave the right to become children of God. They are reborn not with a physical birth resulting from human passion or plan, but at birth that comes from God. So the Word became human and made his home among us. He was full of unfailing love and faithfulness, and we have seen his glory, the glory of the Father's one and only Son." My guess is that a lot of us have heard preaching before and have heard teaching, and we've had someone tell us about God. Whether you listen to the radio or you look at television or you go to a church, someone's communicated God's word to you verbally. But what we're finding with this generation is that they're kind of tired of the talk. And what they're looking for is someone who maybe reflects what people talk about. Someone who's actually living out those values and that vision of love. Jesus knew that, and he knew that the word, the text, was not enough. The Jews and the people, the Gentiles, they had the law, they had the prescription, they had the rules and what to do, but God said, again, people still need more. So that's why after 400 years of silence from the Old Testament into the New Testament, Jesus entered at just the right time. And did you notice how John described Jesus' entry into the world? What did it say? It says in John chapter 1, verse 14, that Jesus became flesh. Another way to say that is he became human. We think of God as abstract, he's way out here, but it's quite different when you can physically touch him. You can physically feel him. When I was dating my wife, we dated for several years in the university in South Carolina. And we had 1 year that was really difficult. We had to be separated. And so she was in Maryland, and then I was in South Carolina. And so I'm not kidding you. We didn't have emails back then, right? We didn't have the internet. It was the Stone Ages. And, there was actually a thing called stamps, and you'd write letters. And I would write a letter every day, Miles, every day. Okay, so someday when you grow up, Miles, you're going to get married, or you're dating someone, you're going to fall so much in love that you're going to want to write that person. And I would do it, man. And the kind of thing that I would do is I'd add a little touch to it. Because back then, the hot cologne was Jovan Musk oil. Yeah, man, it's really cheap stuff. My daughters bought me some to reminisce and make fun of me. But I had this Jovan Musk oil, and I kind of pepper it, so when she opened up that letter, she could envision the big burly Asian man coming out of the envelope. And she would smell me, Anyway, so I had that musk, they call it a musk oil. It's like an animal oil, musk. I would write her every day. And then she would write me back. Usually she'd try, every once in a while. It wasn't as much as I did because I was passionate about it. She was more thoughtful about her words, I'm sure. But we would go back and forth with the letters. And it was cool to get the notes, but there was nothing like when I saw her. I mean, my whole body would jump up when I would see her body, her presence, who she is. It made me sparkle. It made me alive to see her, to touch her, to hold her. And that's what God knew. He knew it wasn't enough just to have text. Just some old person talking about the Bible or someone just waxing eloquently, although that's good. He said we need to have Jesus embody the truth. So he became the living word. He became flesh. And we talked about it on Sunday. It wasn't just like the normal type of thing. You think maybe if he's God, he'd come down as a superhero. But he chose the weakest form of a human, a baby, that would be vulnerable and dependent on another human being. Can you imagine how miraculous that is? Just in that scene, that God chose to be encaptured in a baby. He became flesh. And the second thing he says that he also not only became flesh, did you catch it in John 1:14? It says he made a home. It didn't say he made a house. He made a home. There's a difference between a house and a home. I know some of you gotten married this past year. There's some of you have been praying about that. And when you get married, you're not just building a house as a family or as a couple. You're making a home. There's a difference. A house is just construction materials. It has concrete, there's bricks, there's mortar. But when you think about a home, it's a context of meaningful relationships. Jesus made a home, a place where there could be meaningful conversations. People that would have food together and eat together in communion, and there'd be play and joy. And then the beautiful thing that Jesus did is he not only did this beautiful thing where he became flesh and he made a home, but it says he was full of love and faithfulness. See, it's one thing, a baby's born, and if the baby has a lot of problems where it's crying a lot, it's colicky, it doesn't feel like it's joyful. But it says when the baby was born, Jesus, it was filled with so much faithfulness and love. And all of his life, he reflected that. There's something to be said about that, right? A friend that stays around a long time, that's constantly faithful. Someone that's going to love you no matter how broken you are. Full of love and faithfulness. So I was thinking about the dads here specifically. All right, so how many dads we got here today? All right, we got a few dads. All right, fathers, this is really important because you have an opportunity tonight, tomorrow, this Christmas vacation, to do the very things that Jesus did. We're supposed to model that. We're not just supposed to tell our kids what to do. It's not just about the word. It's easy for us just to say something, to do this or don't do that. We're solution-oriented people. But how did Jesus enter the world? God, who could have easily told people what to do, he chose to be flesh. And what did he do? He chose to be human, be fully present. He chose to make a home where he's listening. And he was full of love and faithfulness. This is the model we're supposed to follow as dads. This is the model we're supposed to follow in our relationships with any human. Be human, be flesh, be present, be home. Don't just think about the future and the football game tomorrow and the things you're going to do next week. Be fully present and alive, paying attention to your kids. And then be full of love and faithfulness, because over the long haul, as a parent, when you consistently do this, what happens is you'll notice you're planting seeds. And you may not see the growth right away. It may be a couple decades. But then suddenly you'll see your kids like, wow, I can't believe these kids have become better than me. Way better than me. In fact, they become your teachers. So yeah, it's a hard thing to do as a parent. Not just tell them what to do, just to be the word. Speak the word. But God's called us to be that word in flesh, be present, make a home, not just a house, and provide for people, a construction material thing, and also be full of love and faithfulness. You do that, it's going to be the same thing with Jesus. It says, and they beheld in his glory. When Jesus came into the flesh and he was full of love and faithfulness, a splendor started emitting from his life. There was a fragrance, better than Jovan musk oil. It was a fragrance of a God that was supernatural, that was amongst them. And fathers and mothers, when we do this with our kids, when we do this with one another, even if you're young, you're doing this with your parent, when you become full of love and faithfulness, you reflect not just word spoken, but word present. And that's a supernatural effect. May God bless each of you as you spend time with your families, as you spend time with one another. May you feel the very presence of Jesus in your house, in your home. And may you see him in a totally different light, that he's more than just a word, that he's actually the human form, but also yet divine. Anybody have anything they'd like to share tonight? Anything that's kind of on your heart before we close up this evening? Anything that you want to say, hey, this is how I've experienced Jesus myself? Anybody like to share? Some of the kids are poking their moms, I see their dads. What do you want to say? Hey, this is how I feel God's been speaking to me this year. That Jesus has not just been word to me, but I've personally experienced him. How about that angle? And this is what I could thank God for. Anybody want to share that tonight? Okay, right over here. And tell me your name, okay, if that's all right.
Hi, I'm Max. I just want to say I'm grateful to God for reuniting me with my family and for being back and being free. Yeah. That's it. Thank you.
There's a lot, this story has a lot of God's miraculous grace. I remember when you came to our church a few years ago. And I also remember seeing you when I was in Newport Beach walking along a street. And I knew that something was changing, man. I'm really glad of the total shifts that's happened in your family. For you to be here is a miracle. There's a whole nother story about this that you guys will have to talk to him about at some point. Anybody else, there's something you want to thank God for? How he's changed your life? Maybe it's one or two more. And we can have a young person do it too, you know. Like one of the, do we have, I heard something back in the back. What's your name? It's me, Devin. Oh, hey, Devin, what's up? Devin, that was so bold for you to share about. Yeah, you're exactly right. Man, you're speaking to me right now. You're so right about that. You know what's so great about this, and I'm glad you mentioned it, is God has brought a lot of mental health professionals to our church too. Oh yeah, God has brought a lot of mental health professionals to our church. So it's a perfect time that you're highlighting this, Devin, because we feel like this needs to be addressed so it's normalized. Well, we know it exists. Thank you, Devin. It means a lot that you share. Thank you. Somebody else, one more. I love this. Yeah, right here. Keep it brief.
Of course. I will say that God has shown himself sometimes not always through the bigger things, but through little things. In the midst of chaos, corruption, disappointment, and often a feeling of helplessness in this time, it is truly encouraging to see little things seemingly showing up a sign of joy or carefreeness in this time, and it's encouraging to me when I feel somewhat weary of things.
Man, that was bold for you. Thank you for sharing. I love the Dupuy family. It's good to see you all home, man. I'm glad you're here. Anybody else before we wrap it up? Yeah, right here. Okay.
Okay. Hi. I just want to thank God for keeping me strong this year, because I knew that I was going to go through something in 8th grade. Like, God kept like encouraging me and showing me like kind of signs. And my parents actually got divorced. So that was it's been really hard, like ever since then. And I don't really often reflect on it, like at all. It just came into my mind like right now. God keeps me so strong. He gives me so much strength. People are like, constantly praying for me. And my dad says that. My friends always say that. My pastors here always say that. They're like, we're constantly praying for you. And I'm like, okay. But I don't realize that strength that I have is from all of the prayers and all the love that I'm given. So I just want to thank God for that.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for all of you for sharing. We're reminded this Christmas again, young and old, no matter what challenges we're going through, that God is with us and that He's called us to make a home. And you guys helped make this a home tonight by your sharing. Thank you so much. We're going to spend some time now just to wrap our service with some songs. But before that, it's our special candle lighting moment. So I'm going to ask my candle lighters to come help me out. All right? And let's all stand together. Come on. And get your candles ready. Now, what does this candle represent? Do you know? What are we saying?
Light?
It's a light, yeah. And who's the light of the world?
God.
Exactly. When you don't know what to say, just say God. That's the perfect thing. Jesus. All right, so Jesus is the light of the world. And here we go. There you go. Okay, let's pass it on. Whoops. Hey, Newsong, we're really happy that you came tonight. May you experience the joy of Jesus' presence this Christmas season. May you feel his healing in your homes. May you feel his joy, his delight in you, that he is in flesh, he's with you, fully present, making your home. We have great pastries and coffee and stuff outside. Don't forget, this coming Sunday, we're going to meet together one service, 11 a.m. And then we have a quinceañera afterwards. It's going to be wonderful. One of our very own Karen, she's going to be celebrated. So you want to come and join us in our first blessing of a quinceañera here in this service. So 11 o'clock this coming Sunday. Have a great week. Take these candles and there'll be buckets outside. Feel free. Okay, Merry Christmas.